So here we have the latest releases from the three biggest brands. We have the Action 4 from DJI, and we have the GoPro 11 from GoPro, and the Insta360 Go 3 from Insta360. But of course I have to include the X3 once again because this is my most used camera, and we're gonna come back to that in a bit. So today we're taking a look at the differences between these cameras and how I've been using them and which I prefer and why. And hopefully at the end I can help you decide which of these cameras are the best choice for you. And this video is gonna be completely transparent. There is no sponsorship included in this video from any of these brands. However, there is a sponsor for this video, which is Epidemic Sound. We're gonna come back to that later. Now first up we have the new Osmo Action 4, which has a brand new 1/1.3" CMOS sensor and a new D-Log M 10-bit color profile. It also has a dual touchscreen, one on the front and one on the back, and also has a sharpness and noise reduction control and a low light enhancement feature for stunning low light videos. The second one up is the GoPro 11, which has the highest resolution of 5.3K and a 1/1.9" CMOS sensor which can capture crystal clear image. Now the third one up is the Insta360 Go 3, which offers more versatility compared to any other regular action camera. In addition to the Go 3, the new Action Pod has a 2.2" touchscreen which can be flipped for the convenience of vlogging. So we still get the small action camera form factor we're used to with the Go 2, but now we'll be able to change all the settings and get the live preview of what we're shooting. Now the last one up is the Insta360 X3, which shoots 360-degree videos at 5.7K resolution, which you later reframe in the Insta360 Studio or mobile app. And with the latest firmware update, the Insta360 consumer lineup can now export videos in 4K resolution using the Insta360 mobile app, which is fantastic. But you can also use the X3 as a regular action camera to shoot 4K videos at 30 FPS using the single lens mode. Now this video is not going to be a straight up comparison between these cameras. It's mainly going to be about the convenience of these and how they can be used and the quality that they provide. And when you're looking to get a new action camera, it's really easy to fall in the pit of sponsored videos. And these videos are usually contracted, which means that the reviewer can't really say anything bad about the product. And this might lead you in the wrong direction, and suddenly you end up with all the cameras, but in reality you'll end up using one or two. Now price is another huge factor to consider when you finally decide on getting a new device. Even though most of these cameras are sitting between $400 and $500, you should always think twice about a camera before you go get it, and you should always get the one that you want the most. Personally, I want a camera that adds more fun and versatility in form of ease of use, mounting, and also reliability. A camera shouldn't be solely based on high resolution, but the overall use, and it should be a camera that you want to bring for each trip. Just like the sponsor of today's video, Epidemic Sound. With a huge library of more than 40,000 music tracks and over 90,000 sound effects, you're guaranteed to find something that fits your style. With a clean and organized website, you can easily navigate through the different sections to browse, listen, and download the music you want. And with recommendations based on your channel and your recent search, the algorithm will help you find suitable tracks. And with features like sync music to video, a mobile app for the convenience of traveling, and the ability to download the stems so you can easily separate the instruments and create your own remix is one of the key reasons I've been using Epidemic Sound for 7 years. And the cool part is that you can try all of these amazing features yourself, completely free, with my link in the description below. There's also no strings attached, and you can cancel anytime. So links down below. Now let's move back to the cameras and let's talk about the quality. Now, as of the image quality coming from these cameras, the GoPro has that highest resolution of 5.3K up to 60 FPS. The Insta360 X3 can record up to 5.7K resolution, which is higher than the GoPro, but this is spread throughout a 360-degree field of view, and the final export after reframing the Insta360 footage will look similar to 2.7K when exported in ProRes at 4K resolution, and even less when exported using the Insta360 mobile app, even though we see a jump from 1080p export to 4K export after the latest firmware update. The Action 4 though is limited to 4K at 120 FPS, but it has that new low light sensor, the the 1/1.3" CMOS sensor, which actually makes me question the quality of the GoPro 11. Now the Go 3 has that new video mode with 2.7K resolution up to 30 FPS, as well as free frame at 1440p at 50 FPS, and has features like horizon lock and adjustable aspects, which you can all do in post, and is the smallest of these four, which adds to the use cases. Now if we take a look at the differences from 4K to 5.3K, can you really spot the difference? If you watch this on a smartphone, then probably not, but if you watch this on a bigger screen, then maybe. It's not really that noticeable when you put them side by side. There is some, of course, but when you watch two different videos on 2 different days, you'll probably not notice the differences at all, and most likely you won't be thinking about it either. So for example, here we have 4 shots, 1 from each camera. All of these clips looks good, but the only difference now is that you actually see them as a comparison, so side by side or after each other, so you can better spot the differences. But if this was 4 different days and each day there was a new camera, you might not be able to spot the differences. But on paper, the GoPro is the winner because it has that higher resolution coming straight out of the camera. But to be honest, it doesn't matter how much resolution you squeeze into a camera if you can't optimize the pixels, which is the reason I think the Osmo Action 4 looks slightly better than the GoPro 11. So if you're looking to get a new action camera, don't decide based on the resolution, but rather the versatility, ease of use, and whether or not the camera will add something different when you're out shooting. Now let's talk about battery. Battery is one of the most crucial parts when it comes to action cameras because you want it to record for as long as possible. You don't want it to overheat and you want it to be reliable. And this also comes down to the use cases. What are you using the action camera for? Are you using it for motovlogging, or are you using it as a dash cam? Or are you just going out to do some vlogging? Or basically, what are you using an action camera for? You don't want it to shut down in the middle of some action, so I've actually been testing all of them now compared to my previous video where I didn't do a battery test of these because it's not related to my use. I record for 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops, and sometimes I only record for a couple of minutes, maybe 2 minutes, because this is my personal opinion though, but if I record for 1 hour, I'm gonna use 5 seconds out of that anyway. So it's better for me to do loop recording or just to hit the shutter button and then just stop the record when I have a few seconds. But yeah, I did a test with all of these cameras and the result goes like this. So the first one to shut down and overheat was the X3. The second one was the GoPro 11. The third one was the Insta360 Go 3, which almost recorded for as long as the Action 4, which recorded for 1 hour and 45 minutes, and this was all in the highest resolution. So GoPro at 5.3K, the X3 at 5.7K, the Go 3 at 2.7K, and the Action 4 at 4K 30 FPS. So again, the Action 4 is the clear winner, just as we saw with the Action 3. It does not overheat, and it's pretty close to what DJI states as well, which is 160 minutes, but that is in 1080p 30 FPS. And the fact that I managed to get 1 hour and 45 minutes in 4K 30 FPS is actually pretty awesome. But like I said, when I'm out traveling, it doesn't really matter if the camera continuously records for 1 to 2 hours. I never record longer videos than 10 to 15 minutes anyway, because most of the time I end up using a few seconds only. So a continuous record of 1 hour will just be a waste of storage for me personally, unless I'm shooting a time lapse or hyperlapse, of course. But from my experience, when I use these 4 cameras for when I'm out traveling, keep in mind that when you're out traveling, you hike or you do whatever, you will have a constant airflow going through these cameras, which will keep them cool, so the overheating is less likely to happen. But in my eyes, the Action 4 is the winner, and then we have the Go 3 followed by the GoPro, and the last, the X3. The problem with the X3 is that I have done an indoor environment overheating test, and the X3 doesn't handle that pretty well. But as long as you take it out and you get some airflow on this camera, it will not overheat. So basically, when I was in Hawaii and used the X3, I didn't experience any overheating at all, but I also recorded for, I think 10 minutes was the longest before I shut it down. And this comes down to, I don't want to sit there and go through hours of recordings just to pick out a little bit of video from that. So I prefer to use the remote, which I also have with the X3, and I have the X3 on my selfie stick. The 3-meter selfie stick, you can see there it's mounted on my backpack. So this is one of my use cases, and I have the X3 mounted on the 3-meter selfie stick there, and I can just use the remote to start and stop recording, which is, by the way, one awesome thing. You can also do that with your Apple Watch. If you have the Apple Watch, you don't have to get the remote. You might as well just do it with your Apple Watch if you already have that, which will save you some bucks as well. But if you don't have an Apple Watch, or if you don't want to use it for that, I highly recommend getting the remote for the X3, which also is compatible with the other Insta360 products as well. But you can find more information about that on the Insta360 website. But as of overheating and the battery life, in reality it comes down to the resolution, frame rate, bitrate, and the settings that you use when you are recording. The higher you go, the more likely it is for the camera to overheat and the less record time you will have. That's why all these brands are advertising with insane amounts of record time and battery time, and there's no overheating, etc., because all is tested in a controlled environment, recorded in 1080p at 30 FPS, which will give the camera the best performance in terms of battery life, heating, and record time. Now, unlike the GoPro Hero 10 I have, which have actually caused some issues, I'm quite happy with the GoPro Hero 11, and it doesn't seem to have any issues at this point, so I'm pretty happy with my purchase. Now, whether or not this is a camera I will actually use in the future is hard to say, but I wanted to add this to my review so you can also see the differences between the latest action cameras. Now, the other differences between these cameras are color profiles. The GoPro has that natural color profile, which I use all the time with this camera, and the Action 4 has that D-Log M10 bit. The Go 3 also has those 10 new profiles, which actually separates the Go 3 from the other cameras. And the X3 has that Vivid, Standard, and Log, where I find Vivid to be the best look for my taste. And also, if you like the color grading in this video, I have a summer discount on my Signature LUTs, links down below. Now, if you're more of that run and gun type and you just want to focus on the story of your video to maximize your workflow, the normal profiles of all these cameras are doing just as good. Now, as of exporting or preparing the videos to be edited, there is a few different ways given by each brand. Now, let's say you're out traveling and most likely you want to upload some shots right away to Instagram, maybe YouTube Shorts or TikTok. And the fastest way to do so is to use the mobile app and just connect the camera and edit some clips. So we have 3 different apps here. We have the Mimo, Insta360, and the GoPro Quick app. Now, in order to get the footage over to these apps, you have to connect the camera to your phone using the app. Now, GoPro has the Quick app, which I still think is the worst app for viewing, editing, and controlling your camera. That said, I think it is bad, and it's just not reliable. Connecting is still failing with my Hero 11, so I prefer to use my computer when I'm dumping the files and when I update to the latest firmware. Now, the DJI Mimo and the Insta360 mobile app is both reliable and easy to use. With these apps, I've never experienced any connection failures, and they are both extremely beginner friendly. But to me, the winner is the Insta360 mobile app, which lately received an update to export 4K resolution directly from the mobile app, which is pretty nice. And it also feels like Insta360 is putting a little bit more effort into updating their app, with adding some new features and having challenges and stuff, rather than only having the app support camera view with some settings and a shutter button. My favorite is, of course, Deep Track, because it takes away all the keyframing and I can easily put whatever I want in the center of the frame. So I just select myself basically, hit start, and then it will start tracking. But what's really awesome is that I can do the deep tracking, but I can also mix it up and have some parts of the video tracking myself, and then some parts where I adjust the position with keyframes, which is something I really like. So for a quick upload to Instagram or to add a YouTube Shorts, the Insta360 mobile app will definitely give the best editing experience when using a phone. Now, Insta360 also have their Studio app where you can edit your videos in the exact same way using tracking, speed changes, and keyframes. But it also allows you to export your footage in ProRes to get the highest quality out of the X3 and the Go 3. Now, which of these cameras are the most versatile and easy to use? Which of them has made me want to shoot more videos. In reality, they are all action cameras in some form, but one shoots 360 videos and one has a quick lock magnetic system for easy swap between horizontal and vertical videos, as well as 2 touchscreens, and one shoots in 5.3K resolution and offers more freedom in post in form of cropping. And the last, the Go 3, which has the smallest size and also a magnetic quick lock system like the Action 4 and a touchscreen which can be used both ways. And this also has even more options in post when shooting in free frame mode, where you can adjust the aspect, stabilization, horizon lock, and so on. So the Go 3, GoPro, and the Action 4 are basically the same. They record with the lens in front and you capture what you point at. Pretty simple and straightforward, but some offers more adjustments in post than others, and one looks better than the other. And the Insta360 X3 has 2 lenses, one on each side, and records 360 degrees of video at 5.7K, which you later reframe in the studio or mobile app on your phone. And this is also the camera which gives you the most freedom when editing your videos. So let's talk about use. Now, after using the Hero 11 for some time now, I'm actually pretty satisfied with the quality. Though I still feel like I'm waiting for something to happen, probably because I've had so many issues with the Hero 9 and 10. But in form of versatility, it's the exact same as before. It shoots in the direction I pointed at, and it can be mounted in the same places as any other action camera. So versatility rather comes down to how creative I am when I'm mounting the GoPro. Now, if we look at DJI and the Osmo Action 4, for example, compared to the Hero 11, the image looks more appealing to me. And the image is better optimized than the 5.3K on the GoPro, and this is my honest opinion. You might think differently, but this is my personal opinion, and you are free to have your own opinion. So if you like and prefer the GoPro footage over the Action 4, completely fine by me. Now, the Action 4 also has that magnetic base of the camera, so you can mount it anywhere. And if you get a bunch of these magnetic mounts, you can easily place these on your most used items like your helmet, your FPV drone, a selfie stick, or your motorcycle, anything really, and you can just swap between these mounts as you record your videos, which is awesome. And if you're making shorts or Instagram reels, you can use the included case to just swap between horizontal and vertical position and start recording. The Action 4 is also extremely robust, and it's easy to use and does not overheat. You can record for 1 hour and 45 minutes if you want to do that in 4K 30 FPS with no issues, and it has that amazing touchscreen which basically feels like swiping on a phone. And navigating through the settings is pretty satisfying as well, since you don't have that extra lag or those unnecessary steps just to get to the section you want. But one downside with the Action 4 is that it actually reminds me of an Action 3 just with a different number on front, because it's not that different from the Action 3. If DJI wanted to, they could also add the same feature on this to the Action 3 as well when it comes to the sharpness and noise levels, and also the D-Log M. It's all about a firmware update, but the only thing which is a huge difference between these is the new sensor and the low light capabilities of the Action 4 compared to the Action 3. But if you're not shooting a lot of low light videos, you might as well just stick with the Action 3. It does provide a better image than the Action 3. It's not massive, but it is slightly better. But if you have an Action 3 which is in focus, the one that I have is autofocus, so I can clearly spot the differences between these. But if you have one which is in focus and is working properly, then you might not see that much of a difference between these two if you record your videos in a properly lit environment. So that's also something I don't really like with the Action 4. Not much has changed. It's basically the same but slightly improved camera. So I don't know, I wish there was more. I wish there was like 5.3K, 5.1K resolution. Maybe they should have jumped to a 1-inch sensor on this next model rather than just microscopically upgrade the camera over the Action 3. I don't know, I wish it was better. But let's talk a little bit about the Go 3, which is also one of my favorite cameras because it's so small. and this is coming in the same category as the GoPro and the Action 4, but it's a little bit different. It adds a few more use cases. And after using this for a few months now, I'm actually quite happy with the performance, and the latest firmware update fixed some of the minor issues as well and gave the UI a cleaner and more professional look, which I actually appreciate because it's a little bit easier to navigate through the settings and menus, and it just looks more appealing when you're changing the settings. It's not a major thing, but I guess like every single tiny bit helps, right? And also being able to use the Go 3 and the Action Pod as two separate devices is pretty awesome actually, and it's the perfect camera for something like hiking and when I'm doing some fun stuff with the kids. It's however the camera with the lowest resolution at only 2.7K, which is almost half of what the GoPro shoots. But for me it really comes down to reliability, and with some adjustments here and there, the footage coming from the Go 3 looks spot on. Now, the Go 3 is also made to capture those fun moments with your family and capture things you normally wouldn't be able to capture without having some clunky equipment. So the past month I've had a lot of fun using the Go 3 because of its size and how easy it is to mount and use. But of course I will always bring the Action 4 because these two have two different purposes. And the Action 4 is killing it in low light, which is something I've been missing when I'm out traveling. So yeah, I will find use for the low light capabilities of the Action 4, but it's not something that I will shoot here in Norway. It's mostly when I'm out traveling, especially during the summer here. The sun barely goes down, so there's, you know, it's always bright outside. But when I'm going to Hawaii in a few weeks, then, you know, capturing some low light footage in the in Honolulu City with the Action 4 is something that I'm actually looking forward to, and it also gives me the opportunity to do a comparison with the GoPro Hero 12 as well, is if that comes out prior to our departure, hopefully. But that would be an interesting video for sure. Now, as of the overall use, when I'm out traveling or when I just want to record something here and there, the X3 is, you know, by far the most versatile and fun camera to use. And this is a camera that I always grab. This is the first thing that I grab when I'm heading out. To be honest, I've never had so much fun using a camera, and not to mention the freedom you have when you're shooting 360 videos is insane. You're basically a solo film crew. But if you're more into that POV shots or you prefer a regular action camera, maybe you already have the X3, then my pick would be the Osmo Action 4 because of its versatile mounting system and the fact that you have that new optimized low light sensor for a better overall image. And the option to control the sharpness and noise levels inside the camera is a big advantage if you want to have more control over the final image coming straight out of the camera. But if you want something which is more versatile than the Action 4, has a low weight and will cover 99% of your needs, the Insta360 Go 3 would be a good option and will add a lot of creativity and fun to your life, whether you're a solo traveler or like to capture your daily activities with your friends and family. Now, as of my personal take on these four cameras after using them for quite some time now, I still prefer the X3 to be honest, because of its versatility and the ways I can use it, point and shoot and reframe later. To me, this just adds that wow factor, which is something that I'm looking for when I'm out traveling, and it makes me enjoy more of what I'm doing instead of always thinking about framing. Look at this POV shots here from the Action 4 for example. I recently changed my helmet mount and forgot to double check the framing, so most of the footage was pointing at the gas tank, which looks nice by the way, but imagine riding for 2 hours and this is what you capture. With the X3, I can just change the framing in post later, so it doesn't really matter where the camera is pointing, which is one of the main reasons I love this camera so much. As for the Action 4 and the Go 3, they're basically in the same boat for me. I would use the Action 4 when I'm doing more challenging activities, and the Go 3 will always be my main choice for hikes or when I'm doing activities or travel with my family because of the small size and ease of use when running after 2 kids. I can also see the Action 4 being my main helmet cam when I'm out riding my bike. I just need to fix the angle a bit. And the X3 will also be my main camera, which I can easily place anywhere on the bike. bike and get some really cool shots, as well as being my go-to for most activities. As for the GoPro 11, it seems to be more reliable than my Hero 10, so I will most likely use this for beach and water activities because I really like the look of the vibrant colors coming from the GoPro when I'm out on the paddleboard, surfing, or just chilling at the beachfront. However, it will be interesting to see how the new Hero 12 performs and if GoPro has actually made some proper improvements, and hopefully I'm able to grab the Hero 12 before I head to Hawaii so I can do a proper comparison with these cameras and hopefully help you in choosing the right action camera for your needs. Now, which of these you decide to get is going to be completely up to you. I just wanted to share my experience using these cameras in order to put things into perspective, and hopefully I could help you in deciding which of these cameras is the best fit for you. If you already have a favorite, which one is it and why? Links to everything will be down in the description, including the motion graphics for Final Cut Pro, which you've seen here on the screen. Also, don't forget to drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that already. That would be appreciated, and I will see you in the next video.